actually, here's a way to start this is one of the great ways to actually see David is in a room full of cops, which I actually have had the pleasure of doing, particularly like a bunch of cops that have never met him before, who are in a city where there's been a lot of violence and there's been a lot of race problems, like Cincinnati. And David goes in, and these cops, okay, first of all they're basically all white, and secondly they have heard from a million people from social services. In fact, they don't even say social services; they just say social people, and that just means like liberals and these sort of people that think that don't have a realistic idea of what really goes on in the streets. So then David walks in, right, and they take a look at him, right, and he looks like the guy they arrested the day before, right, and so then David starts talking, and
And the story we tell about gang members is that people voluntarily enter into a reality in which they stand about a 1 in 30 chance of being killed by gunshot while they're in the gang, in which the stats say virtually everybody will get shot. You'll survive it, but you're going to get badly hurt. That you make your living by standing on the corner, getting robbed and rousted and prosecuted and jailed, that you make less money than you would working at McDonald's because that's how it works at the street level, that all your friends will get hurt, that everybody goes to jail and goes to prison, and that not only have you made a rational decision to live like this, but that you will fight every effort to get you out of that environment. It's ridiculous, right? But that's what we think. And it's this issue of the overwhelming power of these stories and stereotypes to stand up to reality. And the fact is, and anybody who has actually spent time in this world knows it, that if you spend time with gang members, the only time they act like gang members is when they're with their friends. Gang is a group phenomenon. And I said on the radio this morning, and I'd forgotten this line, but I like it, so I'll use it again. There is no dumber organism on the planet than a young man with his friends watching. That's what drives gang violence, not rational calculation. And you get them out of this peer setting. They hate it. They're scared. They're worried. They're not getting rich. They're living with their mother. They have no retirement accounts. They're not driving Range Rovers with big rims. They're not driving anything because they can't get a driver's license because they've got too many outstanding fines. It's a miserable way to live. And the concrete implication of that is if you give them a safe and honorable way out, a lot of them are happy to take it. Yeah.
So you go to one of these call-ins, which are incredibly dramatic affairs, and the call-ins are when David and the cops, and they have these offenders who they know are doing these things in gangs, in these situations where there's a lot of violence. They bring them into a room. It's in a courthouse usually, where I saw it in Cincinnati. There are a bunch of cops. There are a bunch of social services people, and then there are a lot of ex-offenders who have, sort of seen the light and are there to tell them what it's like to go to jail and what it's like to have your kid shot and what it's like to be shot yourself. And all these people come together in this context that they almost really never meet.
Right. And so the call-ins and the other parts of this process are an opportunity for people who hate and misunderstand each other to be in the same place in a real way and see that that's wrong.
Right.
And it's sort of the difference between a date when you go to a movie and don't talk to each other and a date where you go into the kitchen and make dinner. Everybody knows what the difference is between those two experiences. This is making dinner. And people come out the other side and they don't think the same things about each other that they thought going in. And it changes things.
Yeah. Yeah. What's interesting about one of the many things that's interesting about David's method is it combines a kind of zero tolerance approach with a social services piece, with a community engagement, sort of moral suasion from community leaders piece. So it's complex, and although the aims are simple, which are don't shoot, just don't shoot is a very simple thing. Whatever you do, don't shoot.
We're at a tipping point, and whether we'll tip or not is the big question right now. So this is not guaranteed. But the National Network for Safe Communities, which Jeremy and I founded and are co-chairs of, and we've got a bunch of people involved in that here, is operating out of John Jay. You can go to our website, nnscommunities.org. You can join, you can download the how-to guides, the research, it's all there. And for the first time in the almost 20 years this is going on, people are beginning to get it. And what that means is the National Network believes, and it's a working coalition of people in cities doing this stuff. We have no tire kickers. These are folks actually doing it. There's 70 or so cities involved. This is a big deal. And the National Network principles are, there's too much violence, especially in our hardest hit, especially black communities. There is far too much incarceration. I don't want to live in a country where 1 in 3 black men go to prison, which is the way the stats are running right now. The racial tension that comes with the way we're dealing with this problem right now is intolerable, and I will say in my own voice, it is un-American, it's wrong. And these things we're talking about are the toolkit that can change that.